Well, Isabel, I'm still with Isabel Oakeshott, Talk's excellent international editor. Isabel, the good thing about this is the knife problem has been solved because the government has pledged to make it much harder to buy knives online from now on. So no more shopping by people like Axel Rudikabana online on Amazon for knives. So that means that people like him will never be able to get a knife, will they? I mean, it's amazing. There's nothing deflective about the government obsessing on this at all, is there? I mean, what a ridiculous thing to say. I'm not praising the fact that kids can buy knives online or from Amazon. That's a bad thing. I suppose if you can cut that back, if you can stop that, well, good. But, you know, go to your kitchen now. In the cutlery drawer, you will find at least 50 murder weapons, just as there would have been in Axel Rudikabana's mother's kitchen on the day he set off for Southport to kill those kids. Furthermore, interestingly, there is one particular harrowing description of the 12 minutes of horror as that little monster ran through that dance hall stabbing people. And witnesses described him, I mean, this may be just a description, you know, in the heat of the moment, but witnesses described him as carrying, and I quote, a kitchen knife. So, I mean, either way, you know, just saying, oh, we're going to crack down, no more online knife sales to kids, it's pointless. Nothing. It doesn't mean anything, does it?
No, completely pathetic. You know, it is actually already a little bit tricky to buy a knife. You've got to do a few things in a supermarket. You've got to be clearly over a certain age, and you know, if you're buying it on Amazon, you've got to be 18 and above and all that. I know this because I tried to buy a set of kitchen knives a while ago, and it was a right old palaver, and the knives ended up getting sent back to Amazon. No one was quite ever able to meet the criteria for receiving the kitchen knives. But that set aside, as you say, every kitchen's got a knife in it. You know, for goodness sake, you know, someone with that murderous intent really going to be stopped because they can't actually get hold of a kitchen knife? Come on. You know, here's another thing, by the way. I understand that Axel Rudikabana was also for a period buying seeds. Now, seeds are what you use to make rice in. Certain type of seeds create that deadly poison. I don't know what seeds he was buying, but unfortunately they kept on being delivered accidentally to a neighbour's address, and the neighbour has complained about this. Is the government, if this comes out, and if I'm correct and my information isn't wrong, is the government also going to ban people from buying seeds? You know, it's very similar to their policy of smashing the vile criminal gangs.
My government will outlaw gardening. Horticulture will become a major offence.
You can just see it, can't you? What, you now got to show you're 18 when you go in to buy some garden bulbs, you know.
You're old enough to buy those daffodils, mate.
just the kind of daft stuff that they do, isn't it? It's not an answer. It's just a sort of pathetic knee-jerk thing. I even think primary school children would know that that wasn't going to resolve or prevent a situation like this. I mean, ultimately, the tragedy is if it's just the case of someone having crazy mental health problems, and we believe in the case of Axel Rudikabana, there's much more to it than that. And thank goodness he didn't simply plead insanity, and we didn't have that whole nonsense that we've had in other cases. But you're never going to be able to prevent true nutters from doing terrible things. I mean, anyone behind the wheel of a car can cause mass murder if they choose to do so. You're not then going to also ban cars. You know, it just isn't going to be an answer to these awful, awful acts.
Yeah, and Keir Starmer, of course, you know, his favourite word, change. Terrorism has changed. It's changed. Well, he's talking about loners in bedrooms, you know, frustrated young men in their bedrooms. Well, you know, that's not new.
No.
And of course, when he seeks to say that, it's to persuade us that there's not some kind of Islamic plot against Western culture. It's loners in bedrooms who are radicalised. Well, actually, there is a bigger picture than that. So once again, Starmer, in terms of Axel Rudakabana and other terrorists, perpetrators of terrorism, he's trying to downgrade their crime by just saying they're loners, they've got mental health issues. It's undermining the true scale of our problem. The true scale of our problem is we have not, of course, all Islamic culture, but we have a culture. There are Islamic extremists who mean the West harm, and to just say the only perpetrators of terrorism pursuing that cause are young, frustrated men in their bedrooms, loners, is to fail to address the true seriousness of the crisis we confront.
Well, of course, there are Islamic extremists, and they are unfortunately all over the world. And you know, the vast majority of Muslims in our country want nothing to do with them. That represents nothing of their faith. It is a complete warping of those teachings, and in a completely different category to the mainstream Muslim faith. But there's no point in pretending it doesn't exist. It does exist. And a real genuine worry is that some of those who come over on the boats across the channel, who've thrown away their paperwork, may be of this mindset, may be jihadists. I don't think that that's a crazy thing to suggest whatsoever. You know, if you are your mission is to wage jihad, you can clearly see a route into the UK. And you know, we know a number of experts have flagged this up as a real threat to our country. We have got to start being a lot more choosy about who we let in, and not simply ushering anyone who comes in on a boat into hotels in our communities and hoping for the best.
And we also should contemplate why it is that Keir Starmer seems so reluctant to talk about the bigger picture here, to talk about the potential threat from Islamic extremists to our culture, to the West, to Britain, to America, to the countries of Europe. Why is he reluctant to talk about this? Why does he try to divert it into a conversation about young loners in their bedrooms with mental health issues? Because if he says there's a bigger picture, it might offend the Muslim community, and guess what? At the next election, he needs the Muslim vote. So I'll leave that hanging in the air.